All right, Facebook, this is June Collier, and this video is actually going to be sort of a follow-up to the video that I did late last night or early this morning, and depending on when you tuned in. And so what I want to do is I want to talk about a little bit more about institutional investors and retail investors. And what I've learned is I've learned to give short 3 to 5 minute trainings. And as you begin to watch these, you'll be able to put these together. So we talked about retail investing and institutional investing and why institutional investors are the ones that we really want to watch. And so what I want to do is I want to show you how you find institutional investors and find out what they are investing in. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to jump into sharing my screen and just kind of give you an example of what you want to do if you're trying to find some good stocks or you don't know what to pick. I want to be able to share that with you. So I'm here on Fidelity, and if you've been to any of our myEcon investment classes, you know we'll go here to Fidelity or another brokerage firm and actually show you how to look at different types of stocks and you know investments, if you will, and kind of determine what's in those investments. So I'm going to go and take a look at mutual funds just for a quick second. So we'll take a look at our mutual funds inside of Fidelity. I'm going to look at all of their funds that they have. And let's just look at the 4 and 5 star funds. These are their big funds. And as that pulls up, we will see some of the top funds that they have that have had some great returns this year. That does not mean that's what you need to pick, but we see that all of these are in technology. So we've got some semiconductor funds. So if I click on semiconductors, they've done 55% year to date, 38%, 22% over the last 3 years, 20% over the last 5 years, 19% over the last 10 years. Over the last 10 years, we've had a pretty amazing market. So that doesn't mean that it's going to continue that way. But what I want to do here is I want to show you what stocks they're investing in inside of this mutual fund. So mutual fund invests in multiple stocks. And so what we can see right here over to the left is we can see the top 10 holdings of this stock. Intel, Broadcom, Qualcomm, Micron, NVIDIA. So these are different stocks that they're investing in. So let's take a look at Intel. That's the ticker symbol is INTC. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over here to Yahoo Finance and type in INTC. So that's going to give me the Intel Corporation. I'm going to zoom in a little bit for those of you that's on your phone. And what I'm looking for is I'm looking to see who actually holds this stock or who are the holders of the stock. So if I go over here, this shows me the holders. And we'll scroll in. I'm just zooming in for those that are on the phone. And this breaks down the major holders of the stock. And so we know that 68% of the outstanding stocks are held by institutions. So that means that those are institutional holders that are actually holding the stock. Those are that's the big money in the stock. And so, you know, that's pretty decent. 68% of this company's shares are held by big institutions. Let's do another example. This time what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to Fidelity, and this time we're going to look at ETFs. Those are exchange traded funds. And let's take a look at the Fidelity ETFs. We're going to click on Fidelity ETFs. And let's see. What do we want to look at? Let's take a look at Fidelity High Dividend. So these are going to be stocks that pay a high dividend. We're going to click on this. Now you can own the ETF by itself and not have to buy the individual shares. But we're going to look at the Fidelity High Dividend. And what we're looking at is we're going to be looking to see what's the composition of this fund. And so we'll go right here. It says portfolio composition. I'm going to click on that. And let's take a look and see what companies are we holding inside of this fund. So here you'll see the top 10. We've got Apple, Microsoft, JP Morgan. Let's take a look at Apple, AAPL. All right, so let's go back over to Yahoo Finance. Let's type in AAPL. That's going to be Apple. We see that 60% of the shares for Apple are held by institutions. Let's look at Microsoft, MSFT. 74% of the shares are held. Microsoft shares are held by institutions. And let's just do one that I know that has a high. Let's do Visa. If I click on Visa here, Visa, 94% of the institutions are holding shares inside of Visa. So in that particular case, I know that a lot of institutions feel very, very comfortable with Visa. Makes sense. Everybody's doing online shopping now, and Visa, MasterCard, American Express. If we look at those companies probably have a big institutional investors that hold that stock. And so that's why we're kind of looking at institutional investors, because that's where the money is. We want to follow the money, because you want to figure out where all the money's going, where are they putting their money? And if they're putting their money in these companies, then there's a good chance as a retail investor, you may want to repeat the same, because institutional investors have a lot of money to do research. They've got a lot of money to follow the stock and to understand the stock, probably way better than we as retail investors can do. And so by following the money and looking at where the institutional investors are investing, it gives us an opportunity to invest in similar companies or those same companies and do pretty well as well. But if you don't want to do that type of investing, picking individual stocks, because that's a little bit more risky, you can dial back and pick mutual funds or ETFs, and then allow the money managers to go out and pick the stocks that's inside of that fund. And that's really what myEcon really teaches. They don't really teach individual stocks like I do. What they really teach is they teach about getting ETFs or mutual funds, and then letting the money managers pick those funds inside of those ETFs and mutual funds. So hopefully you learned something today. That's how you find out where the money is, and that's by following institutional investors.